Here's what we have. I found an old VHS of one of our shows.
So we're going to do a reaction tape?
Kind of, but it's only one song.
All right.
And I couldn't decide which one to choose. I wanted to do the one where we did the Star Wars intro and all that stuff, but I just chose kind of a song we all forgot probably that we ever played. And then I have people actually did little videos and called in, Cory knows, and just said what they remember about the band a little bit.
Really?
So, yeah, and we'll play that. And then I have just some questions that we got online.
Dude, if Dave Yeager shows up on this video,
yeah, this is your life. He walks through that's why there's a curtain. They're going to start walking through.
Lucky?
Yeah. Lucky.
Tim is going to come in and call Chris the Russian Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Isn't that the name of a metronome?
Yeah.
And then I ordered these like a month ago, but I wanted you guys to just to put you in the spirit of things. Who remembers Drakkar?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, have you smelled Drakkar lately? It'll bring you right back
I
to
thought you were going to
Chris's-
give us each
Chris's
a grip
basement.
master.
Oh, yeah.
No,
That's
you're
wonderful.
not
I
getting a
remember your
grip
grip
master.
master more than anything.
Okay,
I remember.
Do the grip
No,
master.
don't spray it in your
Don't
nose.
spray it.
Just smell it.
Smell it. Yeah.
Is it 30
Oh,
years
he's
old?
gonna wear it.
Is it 30 years old? Is it toxic?
No, it's pretty new. Doesn't smell like Chris's basement.
Hey, this might get me laid later.
No, don't put it on, you guys. Just smell it.
Or this is what I wore.
Because
on-
I brought 3
This is what I wore on
colognes.
dates that
I
I would
did.
never get.
Oh, so we actually get one?
Okay, Al,
Dates
we'll
that I would
remember this
never
the
get.
best. I want you to tell me what this reminds you of.
Polo.
Yeah.
It's polo.
He knew. God, what does it remind you of? It might put you into shock, actually. Don't put it on.
Just smell
it. You guys, this place is going to reek.
Yeah. Polo, 8th grade.
Yeah.
It reminds me of 8th grade, big time.
Let me.
It reminds me of almost getting our asses kicked by those bullies while we were walking.
8th grade.
8th grade.
At
Yeah.
the 4th of July festival?
No,
Jason
no,
Peterson.
there were some
No, that
guys
was a
from
different time.
From our bus.
There was a couple of times.
By Epiphany Pond Park.
Was this the, I thought we were friends, Joe?
Here it is.
Come on,
I'll take-
Joe.
Right,
It's like you're
right,
I've heard that story.
right.
Passing the
Many a
rubber.
time.
And they punched me in the stomach.
Yeah.
And I think only Chris will remember this one. Close your eyes.
Oh,
Okay. Reach out.
yeah. I still wear this.
You do?
No, I'm
I
just
was
kidding.
gonna say,
This was the best.
doesn't it remind you of
That
like?
looks like a
Yeah.
girl.
Is that
Aqua
CK1?
Duzio.
I used to go to Chris's bathroom and sneak a couple. Don't put it on. Does it remind you of Chris's old?
This just reminds me that I was never a cologne guy.
Yeah.
I never had any of these.
Yeah. Since I've
that's
had
pretty good.
kids, I
never
haven't
did.
bought clothes. I don't wear it anymore.
Yeah, you
funny.
don't have to find
Yeah.
women now.
Yeah.
You're good.
Hey,
I've just pretty much given up altogether.
I would just put on
I'm
some,
guilty of
That's
Axe.
the circle of life.
Axe.
The $4 Axe spray.
Do you like put it underneath and like your armpits
I
and
actually
stuff?
spray my neck.
Oh, that works.
Because then it kind of sweats into my armpits and it kind of covers what my deodorant misses. And it's
See,
all
I
good.
don't know if you guys remember this, but I can only wear ladies' deodorant.
Really?
Because of
Yeah.
Because of your pH balance?
Yes.
What?
I like the old speed stick would like burn my armpits, and then I found out, oh, ladies, it'll just suave, like like kind of
Magnesium
not really
chloride.
scented.
Yeah.
They got magnesium
Just kind of like
chloride
a
in it.
neutral.
Interesting.
They have charcoal now too.
Oh, that's what I have. I buy ball wash.
Oh,
It's an activated.
I got
Have you
that
seen
as
it?
a joke.
No, dude, it's
The
good.
real deal.
It
Karen
keeps,
bought me that for a
it
joke.
keeps you fresh
Aaron
all
bought-
day.
It's a
So if you
hint.
take a shower in the morning, it's supposed to be like a slow release all day. Kind of keeps you clean.
Were you noticing your balls were smelling bad? Or?
Powder.
No, it's just
Powder works good.
I just wear
It
underwear.
helps.
I don't know.
But then they have the ball wash wipes, which is like to clean yourself up quick. You know,
I got a picture of Cory wiping his balls. Like,
Powder.
Yeah.
do you do it after you take it
get it
down?
lift
too?
and separate, move it around. No, it's just it's like, hey, are you gonna go over to your girlfriend's house after working all day? It's like these little freshen up things before you're gonna get lucky.
I don't know. I just let him suffer.
Yeah.
Okay, should we? Okay, you guys. I don't
dispose
want
of
to
the
say
wipes
what to do, but would you guys rather watch one song from a long time ago, watch
Can
a
you
video?
first do a introduction to this thing? This is
No,
gonna be
I don't like
so
that.
weird.
I'll just put all the.
Do you have to
titles
do
up
the? Hey, are we recording? Yeah, we already started.
I think
guys.
he's going to start it with the ball wipes.
I've been
It's
recording
gonna,
the whole
it's gonna be
time.
in there. This podcast sponsored by what is it
Ball
called?
wash.
Ball wash.
Just called ball wash.
There's ball wash now, and there's like
Not everybody
grooming
uses
shit.
it. I just leave it. The kid uses it. The wife uses it. It's just
How
good
about
sh-
since
good
it's
soap.
already queued up, we
Just
just
good soap.
your kids use it?
Yeah.
The wife uses.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys want to watch one song from an old Mirage gig
Sure.
opening for the regime?
Uh oh.
And what I'm going to do in the podcast is
Does
I'll
this
play.
have the fence?
No.
The weird netting.
No, it wasn't our best gig, but it was at a really sweet time where we were still like kind of innocent, but we were almost getting to that professional level. Okay, ready?
Yes.
I have to warn you, it doesn't sound the best. It's just coming through.
Oh, it can't be any worse than that.
So get this. Al broke a string, so we're stalling for him. And watch how seamlessly we go into the song. Wasn't that crazy? Like we stopped at the exact right time.
Playing I've been in his sound gear.
With a wireless.
What a tool bag.
Al had his Les Paul thing.
I remember that guitar.
What kind of guitar was that?
I want to say Univox.
It was it was the Univox Les Paul copy.
Univox made guitar?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, because Al put black electrical tape over the headstock
Yes.
where it said Univox.
Oh,
Cover it
okay.
up.
Did you write Gibson on it?
That it was cheap.
I love how the monitors have plastic over them because
Yeah.
Regime was coming out later.
I replaced the pickups in that guitar too. I remember that.
Yup. You put EMG 81.
Yep.
81s.
Did you do it yourself?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was even before we had the painted bass drum heads.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Just had the Thomas.
At least we had the backdrop.
Whatever happened to the banner?
It's probably
I
someone's
had it.
bitch.
Does it
I
live in
have
your
it.
mom's shop or
I
something?
have it. I have
Did
it.
she turn it into a couch?
No, I have that still.
Do we
Really?
get to put it over your coffin when you die?
Yeah.
As we lower you
Yeah.
into the ground?
Let's make 4 of them
I have a
then.
little wooden hand-carved sign that I think Eric Blem made for us. It says Sanctus rules on it
Oh, the white V and the high tops.
Well, once you put on that First Avenue video, Eric Blem is like the star of that whole show.
Oh, yeah.
He's camera center the whole time, like
too. Those Marshall stacks were fake, if you guys
Yeah,
remember
those aren't
that.
ours,
the
by the
dummy
way.
cabs, right?
They look cool behind us, but I think, what is it, like out of the 6 on the right side, 2 of them were real? Or
Yeah.
1 of them?
That was in the regime's heyday too.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Dude, I was 15 and they were like 30 or whatever.
They were always old to us.
I think. Well, no, I take that back. I was probably 16 by this point. I know the first time we played that Christmas, it was like December. What was that, Al? December 27th. The very
29th,
first time we opened for them.
December 29th, 1992.
29th.
That's back when they used to raise the lights
On,
up.
on
when
the
they
history
started.
of Sanctus,
I just
I hand
turned
wrote in all of
15.
our gig dates
I
on
remember
the
that.
front, all the way up to like 94. And we had several after, and I didn't keep up with it, but from the early days,
so
they're all
I
in
was
there.
15, almost 16, and those guys were like 27, 28. I don't know.
We got to see some though. I chose this song mostly because towards the end of the show, one of us was out of tune the entire time.
Oh no! Don't.
I think it was me because my locking tremolo didn't have any more room on it, so I couldn't tighten it anymore.
Did you used to block that
No.
trem? Did you guys not know about that back in the day?
No, I just was hoping I wouldn't go out of tune.
Because you never used the whammy at all, right?
It's not really.
It had a Floyd Rose.
You wouldn't have it, but you would put your hand
You'd
behind
pull it up?
and
Yeah,
still use
I must
it.
have lost my whammy
Yeah.
bars.
I remember how you never had a case for that guitar, and the end of the long point was so chipped. It was like
Actually, the
you
reason
could see
that
the
happened,
plywood inside.
first day I had it, Larry put it on, my brother, and he walked right into a cement wall, and it went.
Oh
Is that you? The first day you
The
put
First
that
day,
chip in
I
it?
was so proud of my mom. Brought me to Guitar Center and got it. Larry straps it on, and
no! Oh, that's awful.
Dude, how many years did you go gig to gig with that thing with no case, just neck in hand?
that's why I'm such a stickler now for.
I remember, like, dude, get a case for that. He's like,
What are they like? 10
I
bucks?
can't afford that. Dude, I'm poor.
I was eating charbroilers for dinner. I don't know. We're pretty tight though, even back then. I mean, a lot of people on my channel were commenting like, "You guys are so young and you sound so tight."
Well, I'll tell you, I had plenty of time to practice because I sure wasn't getting laid back then.
You were
I was fucking
wireless there
15
too,
and a
weren't you,
half.
Cory?
Yeah, that long wire makes me nervous though. Like if you walked into the mic stand wrong, it could catch. Or into
Yeah,
one
because
of
that
Chris's
wireless
stands.
that I had a removable cable.
That's
Didn't
good.
have the built-in cable.
Yeah, I had the
So I lost
built
my
in.
short one and was like, oh, What do I? Oh,
You guys remember that big bouncer guy that he was bald with the mullet in the
Yeah,
back?
yeah.
I think his
Dwayne?
name was Ray.
He was tough.
Ray's dead now, I think.
And he yelled
the
at
other
us
guy
for
is
trying to
still alive.
climb up the lighting rack.
Oh, Metallica ending.
Well, I remember when he yelled at Matt Reese because Matt Reese was climbing up the side of the wall outside.
Yeah,
the
that
loading
might have been
dock.
it. That might have been
Oh,
it.
Get the down from there.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't there scaffolding going up to the
No,
sign?
there was the bricks on the outside of the exterior of the building were like an inch deep, and Reese just like stuck his fingers in there and climbed up.
Sounds like something you would do. I
And
remember
he got like 12 feet in the air. The guy was like, "What are you doing up there?"
a lot of memories right outside Mirage when we watched Overkill play one time. And afterwards, the singer almost got in a fight with a guy. Were you there?
That was, I think it was the second time I saw him.
And the singer took his shirt off. What's the singer's name for Overkill?
Bobby Blitz.
Bobby Blitz.
Blitzer?
And he was like
Blitz?
ripped, and the guy was ready to fight him, and then the bouncer or their bodyguard came up and broke it up. And I was like, that's weird. We almost saw the singer of Overkill get in a fight.
I was like, "Where's our bodyguards?"
In 2002,
Yeah, Dean was there.
in 2002, when I was out on the East Coast, we rehearsed at Overkill's rehearsal space.
Whoa.
Because it's like they own the space and they had maybe 2 rooms or something.
Weren't they from like New Jersey or something?
That's where I was.
Okay.
We were in Red Bank, New Jersey, where Kevin Smith is from. And it was one of those like, oh, we need to go practice for whatever. And they have these like, they do like by the hour rental. Like the first room we went to, it was totally furnished. Bring your guitar and your head. The drums were set up, and PA was set up. The second time, I was like, go to Overkill's spot. We had to actually load our gear in. All the Overkill, I didn't know until we got there. I saw all the Overkill road cases. I was like, holy shit, we're rehearsing in their rehearsal space. They're just not here right now. So to pay the bill, they'd let it out when they were like,
That makes
not
sense.
there.
Yeah.
As long as no one touches their shit.
Right.
That's how you know
Absolutely.
you're big is when all your stuff's in road cases, not just set out like my stuff. Just like touch everything.
Okay, so on topic, before we move on to the other videos, does everybody belong to the I Remember the Mirage Facebook page?
Yes.
I'll
Okay,
post
so
this on there.
that's where I see all these people like the Kathy, I think, and the Dwayne guy, or maybe that Kathy lady died that ran the food window. But some of those people that work there will still post.
Yeah.
So it's like,
remember the
oh,
food
hey.
lady.
Oh, some German guy was like, I recorded 350 videos at the Mirage. I'm sure I have a couple of you guys somewhere. I'm like, well, we played there a lot. So
Wasn't it that camera that they took right from the board and it sounded kind of
they had that. Yeah, they had a camera.
Like
Because
kick
remember, they
drum
had
and
the
vocals?
screens. They'd do video and
right,
put it
the
up on those
screens.
screens. And then if you wanted, you could buy the tape.
Yeah.
I forgot about
because they
those
had
screens.
Ramsey or whoever was mixing it down right to video.
Yep.
I remember all the posters on the wall, like
Live recording.
South Gang, all the weird like hair bands.
That's the coolest part of that site.
Tier hair bands of the time, like with their promo, Danger, Danger.
Yeah, not only that though, but they had big people like David Lee Roth or something would come in and Great White and it was crazy.
Vince
Well, that's
Neil played
because
there.
those bands were on the decline because of the grunge scene.
Some of
So
them were.
Here
Yeah.
we're playing metal at a really
Those are the bands we'd
awkward
open for. The
time.
bands that were like
Dude,
going downhill.
Nuclear
Iron
Assault.
Maiden played there with Blaze Bailey. When Bruce Dickinson left the band and went solo, they had a different lead singer guy for a couple years in the early 90s, and they
that's
played
right.
there.
That's right.
Crazy.
That's crazy when they lose their main
So
singer.
we played on the same stage as Iron Maiden and Pantera, and
one-
like name every other band, you know, Overkill.
Once you say First Avenue, though, then you
Prince.
have all those other bands.
You just think of
Prince,
Hey, man.
Metallica.
we shared the stage with the director of House of a Thousand Corpses.
Thank you.
And like the Three from Hell trilogy. or
That's the
whatever.
one regret I have about that is you guys went and saw Pantera and White Zombie, and I like skipped out that night. And I guess the PA fell down when they played style. I was like,
Well, it's because they brought their own PA setup and set it up in front of the Mirage house system.
oh,
Because the Mirage house system wasn't big enough. They had to bring the one that they bring for not arenas, but what do you want to call them? Like
theaters and stuff. Like,
yeah, like it was like a theater setup. It was when they turned the PA on, the 50 cycle hum or whatever, from like everything being at volume before they kicked into like f***ing hostile, because that's what they opened up with. That's why the barricade broke and this all that shit happened, because they come out, you just hear, you couldn't even hear it. I could feel it in my bones and my I got instant goosebumps. You just heard, you felt the of everything being on, and then the lights come on. It's like right into f***ing hot. I've never been hit over the head more in a concert my whole life. They're like barricade broke.
They were too big.
Speakers are falling down.
Okay, I'm gonna play a couple.
Yeah, do it.
Hey y'all, my name's Jared Johnson. I'm here at my home, La Casa Loca in Round Rock, Texas. Mike had reached out to me earlier today and asked me to do a video or voice message of my favorite Sanctus memory, which is going to be very hard to keep it short. So this is not going to be a very short video. I'll keep it as short as I can, mainly because I grew up with these guys. Starting in junior high, 7th grade is when I met all the guys. I met Christopher Blood the year before that. But we grew up together, and we grew up musically together. I met Christopher Blood. He moved in next door to me. My parents had a house on Crooked Lake there in Andover. And Christopher moved into the house next door. I believe he was in 6th grade, and I might have been going to 7th grade. We hit it off pretty quick. He was a drummer. I played guitar. We kind of had different tastes musically. I was more into country, and if I listened to rock, it was the hair bands. It was Tesla and Poison and Guns N' Roses and stuff like that, which Christopher was into.
He was
but he
all
also
Poison,
liked Megadeth and Metallica. And the only reason I wasn't so much into those guys is because it was very difficult for me to play that kind of music on the guitar. But Chris and I would get together and we'd jam, and had a lot of fun, a lot of good memories growing up on the lake. That following year, I met Mike Garrison for the first time. He sat next to me in a science class, and I cannot remember the teacher's name. He was one of my basketball coaches, but he sat next to me in a science class, and he was a drummer at first. He was always banging on his desk. I remember one time, just out of the blue, he just started playing Wipeout with his fingers, and I thought that was the coolest thing I ever heard. But he was always drumming on his desk, and always had great rhythm. Mike's one of those guys that can pick up anything and play it. Always has been that way. That year, Mike picked up guitar, and within about 3 months, he had passed me up. I'd been playing since I was 5, and like I said, Michael can just pick up anything and play it. That's also the year I met Alan Douglas and Cory Swap, who I'm still friends with those guys today. They always made me feel good. They never ever made fun of my musical taste, and they always just made me feel
Maybe a little.
welcome in their circle. And which was hard to do when you're in junior high and you're an almost 6-foot goofy kid with size 13 shoes that people like to pick on. Those guys always made me feel good. So my favorite memory of Sanctus would have to be, and I believe it was their first public performance. It was at Coon Rapids Junior High in the gym. It was a talent show. I remember the year before, Johnny Evans and was it Sam Casisto, I believe, was the lead singer of that band. They played Crazy Train the year before, and of course the place went nuts. And I remember the big talk was, "Oh, no one's ever going to top that." And I was actually emceeing this event, and I was horrible. I was absolutely horrible. I had the personality of a cucumber. It was terrible. But I got to introduce these guys. And they came out and absolutely blew the doors off the Coon Rapids High School or junior high gym. And that might have been their first public performance. I think it was. And then going on after that, Mike Garrison, he played guitar in some of my country bands later in high school, and then right after high school, shortly before I got my first publishing deal and moved to Nashville. And to this day, I contact Cory quite regularly. He's got a barbecue joint there in Anoka, and it's doing quite well. I tell everybody here in Texas that it's the best barbecue north of the Red River. It's really good, so if y'all haven't been there, y'all got to go. But man, so much of my childhood. Oh, and my first studio recordings were with Christopher Blood. He produced some acoustic recordings I did, and then Michael, he played lead guitar on my first full band recordings, which Christopher also produced. So anyway, my whole music career, especially my young career and songwriting career, has just been completely tied up with these guys. And if I hadn't known them, I can honestly say I don't think I'd be where I am today. But anyway, I love you guys, man. Nothing but good memories growing up with you guys. And Michael, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this little podcast you're doing. So God bless y'all. I hope y'all do some more little reunion things soon. I know you did some last year or the year before, and it was fun to watch. So I love y'all, and y'all have a great day. Bye.
And can you believe that guy's from Andover, Minnesota, y'all?
Yeah, he changed, man.
But no,
That's
he's
movie,
lived
Jared.
in the South longer than he lived here. Because he
Yeah.
moved when he was 19.
I remember when he went hardcore.
Whatever, 20.
Yeah.
Country.
Here's the funny thing. Here's my quick story. when I was in Texas 5 years ago, I just said, hey, I'm going to be in Austin. Like, we should hook up. I never hung out with him before. I think the only time I really spent any time with him was on that stage at the talent show where he was like holding his arm like
I
this,
remember
going
that too.
like, no, coming up next, we got Sanctus. And then just everybody's screaming, and he kind of like slinks to the back, kind of moves away from the mic. I never really hung out with him at all. And through social media, we were just like Facebook friends. So I was like, hey, I know you're in Texas. I'm in Texas. Like, let's just have a beer.
Mm-hmm. We're all from
That's
the same
it.
circles.
That's it. So like the next time he came up, we had the restaurant. And since he lives in like the barbecue capital of the world, like, of course he's pumped that like, oh, we'll go to Cory's place. I had him play. Like, I have video of him playing acoustic, doing his little, bar shtick that he does, like just right in my diner, standing right by the pop cooler. Just, no amp, just a cappella, acoustic guitar.
Excuse me.
Dude, he's written songs for
He's
heavy
got-
hitters in the
He's
industry.
on some top 40 country thing right now.
And what blew me away was
awesome.
I never knew he even played until he told me, yeah, I moved to Nashville like not too long after high school and became a songwriter. I was like, what? I didn't even know you played. You're a published songwriter?
He used to like
What?
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were just some tall dude that played basketball. I didn't know you were into music.
I can't believe he thought he was picked on in high school.
He was.
He
was cool, but he was like, to us, he was cool. But I remember Joe, I don't want to call him out, some jock back then used to just give him the hardest time. And I was like, you're picking on Jared Johnson? He's a cool guy. Yeah. What chance do we have if Jared's getting picked on?
Right. I think we may have had it harder. I don't know, but
He was talented.
I remember one memory I have with Jared is his dad dropped us off to go see Poison. And and he sat outside in his car the
Flesh
whole
and
time.
Blood tour.
The Met Center?
Oh, it would have been Look What the Cat Drug in. It would have been like the early.
What?
I've seen
You were
Poison
like 10
4
years
times.
old or something?
Yeah, we were really young, but one big memory that I have is it must have been like through whatever Every Rose Has Its Thorn, if that was even at the time. But we had some sort of lighter or whatever, and the people behind us kept blowing our lighter out. We'd hold it up.
They're like, this
it
is
was
not
like,
safe.
I was too timid to do anything about it. But the whole time Jared's dad was out there, he got this bloody nose that wouldn't stop. And like he actually, after he brought us home,
condition?
he had to go to the hospital, and then they had to like jam this like almost like a tampon thing up his nose to like stop the thing.
But he
I don't know, for
stayed
some
the
reason, I
whole
just
time?
remember that.
That's
I
crazy.
guess.
He almost bled out for you guys.
Yeah, he didn't really even say too much about it, but it was just
People
crazy
were harder
memory.
back then.
Yeah.
And he didn't have the internet, so he couldn't sit and look at his phone
Right.
or anything. That's
I
like
know.
3 hours sitting in your car.
It was awesome though.
Remember how
He's a dad. He probably read a paper.
Yeah,
Or listened
maybe
to a Twins game on the radio.
looking
like-
through Consumer Reports or whatever dads
Yeah.
do. I don't know. But remember how scary it used to be to go to concerts when we were younger? Like when we went and saw Metallica in 91?
Anyone.
There was like fights breaking out, and I felt like a little kid. And now when I go to concerts, it's like a joke. It's like, get out of my way. I got to get to my car. So it's funny how intimidating they used to be.
Well, I felt like strength in numbers because, especially at that show, it was. Were you there? Because I have
Yeah.
All
pictures
four
of.
of us were there.
I have
Yeah.
pictures of us three.
We all sat together.
Chris was
I was
taking the
probably
pictures.
taking the photo. Yeah.
yeah.
I remember it was us four for sure. And it was like the best concert I think I've ever seen still.
Oh yeah.
Well, about the
It
Age
was
of Sandman
it was such
shirt,
an
I saw.
impact at
We were
our
so
time
close.
where
Yeah.
we were at.
We were so close to the stage too.
It was like a week or 4 days after the Halloween blizzard. It was a week later. I think it was a Friday night and the previous Friday night because they did the thing where they had the video screen because they played in the round and it was like record snowstorm hits Minneapolis. It was like part of their little video
Yeah. I wish I could get a hold of
presentation
that.
before they came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was like they did the thing about like, I know we did a gig that night. We're stuck at Al's house.
To me, I think the best part, most impressive part, was when they did "Creeping Death" live. I mean, that just hit me like,
What did they-
wow!
what
You
did they
could
open
feel
with?
the
Sandman?
electricity and the. I was like, what are
Yeah.
we in? When they broke it down and they had the drums and the bass guitar going and no guitar,
Yeah.
and the crowd's just die.
Yeah.
Die. I'm like,
We got to see him with Jason Newsted.
are we in Nazi Germany? No, I'm like, this is getting weird, you know. And the power and when
power
they
of the
came
group.
out with the guitar.
And we were finally seeing our heroes like in person. It
Yeah.
was like they felt so close because it was like a round stage, remember, or a hexagon or something.
Yeah, it was like a 3-sided. and
Yeah,
they-
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd see
The-
the back of
the-
James, and sometimes he's facing you. It was so cool.
Yeah, I
because
just
they were
remember
running
feeling
around.
the kick drum. And
Yeah,
that was so
that
like you
changed
don't
Chris's
get
life.
that anymore. They don't let you be that loud anymore.
What I loved is that video started, and I was like, "Oh, this is just the video they play for everything." And all of a sudden, Lars goes, "Let's hear you, Minneapolis," and like I just got chills. I'm like, "That's actually them backstage right now."
Yeah, because they had then it was the camera. Yeah, we're back in the dressing room. We'll be out in a couple minutes, man. Just hold on.
Who's
You
that?
know, like,
Who's that supposed to be?
That's Lars.
It's kind of like
Lars.
Lars. You know,
Yeah.
it's a
thought it
bad
was
Lars
Spinal Tap.
impersonation. It's not as good as Chris Jericho's Lars Ulrich
Oh, yeah.
impersonation. He does it a good one.
I think the phase when we started doing the Star Wars intro, and I think we debuted that at Ryan's.
Was after
on
that
probably a
Metallica show?
Tuesday night with 10 people there. But when we did that, I think that took our stage presence to a
Well-
new level. It was just kind of a
I've got a
Kicked
video
it
of
off
us.
the way.
yeah.
I'm not going to play it, but just part of it still gives me shivers because I remember every cue of
The
that
Star Wars
intro,
intro?
Yeah.
made me nervous. I was like, is my wireless working? Am I in tune? And that was back when we didn't have clip-on tuners, so we had to unplug, plug into our tuner, and make sure we're in tune.
And I'll tell you for sure, I remember the day we came to school, and Al runs up to me, and he goes, "Man, I watched Empire Strikes Back last night. It was on cable or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I've loved Star Wars since I was a kid." And he goes,
Hipster.
"Dude, that theme, like that's what we need." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, like the Imperial March, like the Vader theme. And I was like, "Yes, I have to watch." So I went back and watched it, and I totally credit Al. It re-sparked my whole like Star Wars like fandom. Do you remember the weird Beastie Boys intro thing that we came up with?
I remember the intro.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god.
Did you get that from Scott Heddle?
No.
No.
You had the tape.
Oh,
And
yeah,
that
yeah,
came
yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
And
That
everyone
was
Fleekus,
the
as in to
best.
strike.
I didn't
Or-
think anyone was going to like it, and I remember being backstage and people were dying.
Yeah.
Like,
Laughing.
They loved it.
That was
Yeah.
good.
Horrified my whole family.
Yeah, yeah.
My grandma was probably
yeah,
at that show.
that was the day they showed up. What do you guys think we open with?
My guess, average.
I heard it and I can't name the song.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh,
I need
you're
you
trying to
guys to-
stump us here.
Well, I stumped myself. I don't even know. I thought it was like a song I knew, but I couldn't
I
think
know
of the
what
title.
it is because I remember this vaguely. It was a song that we changed.
The first 3 songs are songs we changed a lot.
Freedom
Yeah.
Like Your
Chains?
Last Breath and all that.
Oh yeah.
Is that what it was?
Freedom's
Something
Chains.
like that.
Do. Did it have
That's
toms?
probably
That
it.
was one that we had.
You know why
I
I
don't
couldn't
know how
think of the
many
name?
times
Because you
they
never
did.
say Freedom's Chains in it, right?
Yeah, I never said it in the song.
Yeah.
The only other song that we redid more than that would have had to been "Fail to Be." I think
Failed
we
to
redid
be.
that
My
one.
Demand changed a lot.
Yeah, My Demand became the jam song, which
Yeah, that first.
honestly,
That's
I
on
brought
here.
that First Avenue show.
I had
and
more
Al,
fun playing
Al
that song
goes on a
than a lot
solo.
of-
Let's just put it
Yeah.
that way.
He went somewhere else.
We
was
could
just,
have
like,
played
crazy.
2
We just-
more songs in the span of time.
That was
we
Al's
did
Monster
the breakdown
Magnet.
in f***ing My Demand. We could have added 2 more songs to the set list. It was all this like, no, we got to make it mellow. And
Okay,
Mike
but-
strummed out these chords, and
Yeah.
like I jump out.
That's
the
when I
stage,
bought a
and that's
delay
when
pedal. I was like,
Is that when you dented your knee
oh my God.
or
dude.
your
That
shit?
that was the same part of the song, but that was at Ryan's.
Oh gosh.
That was at Ryan's, like
awful.
trying to get back. I still have the scar. It's like
Yeah.
Dude, you could have bled
it's
out.
right down there.
That was
it's right
huge.
there. Right? No, right here.
Oh, it's still there.
Dude, I can open this up by breathing on it.
Really?
Oh yeah, if I
Still.
bang it on anything, it'll just it
I tell
needed
people about
stitches, and
that.
I just a bar napkin and duct tape.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, when you're on stage, you could get your leg amputated and you would finish the damn show.
Right.
Okay, so this is
Okay.
just the end of the intro.
Star Wars.
Remember when it descends? We know it's coming up. This is a bad time to realize you're out of tune, by the way.
This is when I looked down and my foot pedal fell off or something.
China symbol.
Is a China hit?
Nice.
A 2 count?
I would hear that China cymbal in my sleep at night.
But you had the cool sounding one that went ka ka. I'm jealous.
It's always
Remember,
right
I
by
didn't
my
start
head.
that way. I had the Wuhan one that at what's her name's party.
The Wuhan one, that's right. And it was this high. Yeah, Freedom's Chains.
Yeah.
Fast version of Freedom's Chains.
Oh, we played some songs so fast. I was like, how's Chris playing that kick
How
drum
did
pattern?
we ever play average?
I know.
Yeah.
How did I?
Kick
Yeah.
drums
I tried
like,
playing it years later. Like I couldn't even do it. The muscle memory was just gone.
It's
Yeah.
that adrenaline of youth, man.
I think anything I've ever played in First Ave was like 10 to 15 BPM faster than the normal.
But it felt right at the time. Okay, just check out how different this is. Like it barely. If you asked me to play this today,
This was
Actually,
easy.
I probably remember that one.
I don't remember this part.
So fast.
and then we do the offbeat.
Yeah, this was the show opener. You don't remember this?
But the chorus
This
is
our
different than I
Kill Wall
remember.
influence.
oh, this is when because this is when we
Little bit.
started going back and with the old songs.
Yeah, to make them a little bit more groovy. Who's that guy?
Oh, this is the original chorus.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. We're still innocent here. We weren't
Yeah,
trying to
because
groove
on that
everything
First
out.
Avenue video, it's damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think the chorus.
Oh, this was
had
the
enough.
song that you would say damage.
Yes,
Oh,
that's damage.
okay.
But this is the OG version of it because we changed it.
The damage was cool because it was more powerful. You know?
Yeah.
It
No,
was
but we-
always
Screaming.
twice
But
as
we,
loud as
but
anything
we
else.
added
would
that
sound check like-
tight. We added that tight syncopated dun 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 down.
Yeah.
It added it that flows, and we want to let's break it up a little bit.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
if you're gonna
changed
come out
it.
and hit him on the head with
Yeah.
machine gun guitar
Yes.
picking and drumming,
Yeah, it was just like, oh, this chorus is kind of weak.
we got to keep
Let's
with it,
change
right?
That's
right.
why that other
Like,
video
this
was so
isn't
powerful.
the time for
'cause
melody.
We did it from Day to Day, which has an awesome groove, into I think was it Incomplete or something, and it was just like a 1-2 hit.
What video?
That video where like tons of people are at the Mirage and they're body surfing and like
Right. March of '94.
people are falling over that middle barrier and stuff.
Were we already playing from Day to Day then?
We actually did 3 songs
yeah.
in succession without a break.
No.
We went 3 intro songs right off the bat.
Yeah, Mike, this is Jim, Christopher's dad. By the way, happy belated birthday to you. I'm calling, give a couple of comments about Sanctus. I remember back in when you guys were in high school, you had a show up in Duluth. And it was a weekend, of course. And I ran lights for you guys. And you guys were up there bringing your equipment in. You all had your long hair, scrawny guys, muscling around the equipment and everything and getting all set up and that stuff. And there was a band, I think, that played before you guys. They were older than you guys. And I could just see them sort of watching you and thinking, oh, boy, these guys are going to be quite a joke driving this far. And, they had no idea really what was going on. So I had to chuckle about that. And later on, you guys are playing, and at the end of the night, those guys were standing on chairs, hooting and hollering, and really enjoyed the show. And it was a good show. There's a lot of people there, and you just can't ever judge a book by its cover, and how you pre-think these things are going to go. But it was a good show. They just loved you guys, and it was a good time. And then another part, a little story I want to tell you real quick too, is years ago at work, guy I worked with, his daughter went to Coon Rapids, and you guys played at school one afternoon, played a couple songs. And the next day he came to work, and he said, yeah, your son's band. He says, she really likes them. She says, they're really good. I said, well, yeah, I know they are. But anyways, I just wanted to give that to you guys.
That's totally
and,
Jim. I know they
share
are.
a good memory there.
They
Talk
practice
to you
in
later.
my damn
Bye.
laundry room. I know they're good. So can we
didn't
just
watch it.
comment on the people's memories?
Only if you tell
Superior, Wisconsin was the show.
It was. You're
Was
right.
it
It was Superior.
Smiler Cougans or something?
No.
No, that was Chicago.
me. I couldn't think of the name of.
Was the
That was out on
Pacific
Cicero
Club. It
Avenue.
was called the Pacific Club.
Oh, that's good.
It had a
That's good
tropical
memory.
Who did we
right?
play with? Who were the older guys?
the older band. I think they were some college guys
This
mostly.
was
That
the
was
first time we played it.
it was on
was a-
Tower Avenue,
It was on a
guys
Wednesday.
have
where all the
crazy
bars
memories.
are. There's a strip of bars that go there. And
It was a school night.
right,
That's
and,
all I
and
remember.
people bar hop. It was actually a Friday night. And
What?
we did a 3-city tour. It was the most we had ever toured. We played in Superior. The next night we played at Mirage, and I think the next day after that we played in Wisconsin at the bowling alley. We did like a 3-night thing, and I remember thinking to myself, how
In
do
Eau
bands
Claire?
how do bands do this?
Yeah.
Was
Like,
was that what the
that's
The
hard.
66 and a half lanes. What was
With
the
yes.
Free
lesbians
press?
that were dancing
Wagner's.
with me?
We did
Oh,
a Friday,
no.
Saturday, Sunday night show.
it wasn't with Exist Dance, was it?
Yes,
probably.
It was.
Yeah. I just remember they had
Dave, you
Pig's
clean up
Eye
pot,
on
Dave.
tap.
Dave,
But,
you
like,
clean
the-
up cops.
So we actually got kicked out of that
Yeah.
club in Superior, Wisconsin.
That was later. That
because
was
they
in
found
the
out we
summer.
were underage and we
That
weren't
was when we-
supposed to be there.
That's when we went back with
Pack up
postmortem.
and
my
get
my
outta here.
dad tells me the story, Dean, and Road Dad would talk about that and say, you know, they had a big stink about it.
I remember that.
And
It's
he's like,
because everyone was
"Pack and
using
go, guys."
Chris is a
everyone was
kid.
using Chris's drums for the back line.
Right.
They kicked us out and went, "We're taking our drums." And they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
You're like, "Yeah, you. You kicked us out. We're taking our. We're leaving town."
Yep.
Well, you're gonna be like, well, you could have just let us play.
That's when we set up outside that national.
That's when he was
monument.
gonna kick their ass. He was like,
I have a
"Your
picture of
dad
it. I'll
is
post
gonna
it.
jump
The
over
band
the
that played
barn
previous to us, the guy borrowed me his Gibson Flying V, and I remember really liking it at that time
Ooh, that was
because
a dream.
I didn't have my own. I didn't have the black one, the signature.
Yeah.
But
That's
you
mine.
Do
remember
you still
how
have that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
you guys
that's awesome.
remember how it happened, right? How did we get kicked out?
Someone ratted on us.
Yeah.
It
somebody
was
did.
post-mortem Grinner.
No.
Oh, really?
Yes.
They were really?
Yes, they were on that show with us.
We were friends with them. I thought.
Yeah? You
Earlier.
thought, Mike. You thought.
Ka-ching. I believe this is yours.
Well, we drew everybody because they were bar hopping, and if you remember right, it was kind of a interactive crowd. Like we did a thing, and we're like, "What do you want us to play?" And they're like, "We want you to play this." And people started doing all these suggestions. We're like, "Are you kidding me?" You know,
all
we're
we
not-
know is Ted Nugent. That's
yeah,
our
we're like,
backup.
well, we're not going to play that. We're
No,
not
you
gonna play
remember
that.
when the very first time we played? We played our set twice.
Oof.
Because we were the headliner. I don't even know if there was another band, or if there was another band, they played a set. We played a set, we took a break, and then we played our set again at like 11 or midnight.
We opened
Really?
for ourselves.
Oh, I don't
Yes.
That
remember
sounds like another
that.
Joey
Yeah,
Joe
because
Jr.
we were
Shabba
doing-
Doo
Yeah,
That
show.
was
yeah.
Ryan's, right?
Because
No,
we were
that
getting
was the
Peppercorns
painkiller
or
or whatever.
something.
It was called. It was right next to. It was
Pain
the place that had
reliever.
the pain reliever, but
Right,
it was
but-
called something
Midwest
Gold or
Music
something
Cafe?
or
Oh,
Solid
gold,
Gold.
after the gold rush?
no.
nope. It was like or brass rail maybe
No.
or something like that. It was basically next to the pain reliever.
I remember we played
I remember
Stairway
that.
to Heaven.
Yeah.
That's when your dad didn't know that it was us on stage. playing
Yeah.
all those covers.
Yeah.
Did we wear like costumes?
Yeah.
Yes.
We just put our
Yeah.
hair up in baseball hats
Baseball
and put
caps.
on sunglasses.
Oh, I think I had like some sort of like beard or some sort of.
You took a marker and
Yeah.
just drew a beard.
No,
in.
it was like something glued on or something.
And
I
he's-
remember. It was
I think
like,
you guys made the mistake of putting me on the drums, which
We did that.
Oh!
I think so.
we
What did
switched
I
around.
do?
When we played
Which would
Stairway
have
to
been
Heaven,
horrible.
I went on Mike's first keyboard and played the
The SQ1.
I
the
wish I still
flute
had that.
part. Remember, because we learned Stairway to Heaven. We played it one time just for this show. We never played it before or after. I don't know if it was a disaster, but I was like,
Wouldn't dare.
Mike's go, here you go. Flu, 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 flu on my keyboard because you were playing it. We did the whole slow intro.
Yeah, I remember putting the keyboard on my amp off to the side so I could do the flus. All right, we got to get through these videos, guys.
I think I have the SQ1 somewhere.
You might.
But I don't think it works. I think it was like
Is it just a MIDI
it
controller?
like stopped working weird. Yeah.
And say, here's where my technical
I just
knowledge
remember,
begins and
wee-oo,
ends.
wee-oo.
I went to a bunch of Sanctus concerts back in high school,
Chris had
but the most memorable one for me was when they played a talent show at our local Catholic church.
Is he hammered
And,
right now?
You know, like all the other acts were like dancing and girls singing like Debbie Gibson or something like that. And they came on and opened up with For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Ride the Lightning.
And when they did that opening riff, the place went nuts. And there was metal folding chairs flying through the air, and, mosh pit. And you look over at all the parishioners, and they're just freaking out, they're just in shock. I'm not sure if they had like 2 or 3 songs to play, and they may have made it through the second song before they shut it down. But it was awesome.
I love
Really
that.
fun to see the guys doing that, and in a place like that, it was awesome.
I'm so glad someone remembered that.
That's great.
Because
but
somebody didn't believe me when I said that on one of my videos. They're like, "You're just making shit up." People were throwing chairs at a church. I'm like, dude, when you're in a teenage metal band, you don't have to make up stories. Trust me. Weird shit happens.
But he left out. He totally buried the lead on that whole story.
What?
Because remember, our set got pushed back because
For the Debbie Gibson.
Scott. What the heck was the guy's name? I went to elementary school with this guy, and he was like a foster kid, and one of his foster sisters was a dancer. Remember, the chick had a cardiac arrest on stage, like right before we went
gosh.
on. Remember the ambulances and
Yes,
everything?
I
came?
remember that now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I have
We
a
were
bad
supposed
memory.
to do a battle of the bands. I think it was us and like Mike Rorwick's band, Christine Rorwick's older brother's band.
Jealousy. No.
Was that what it was?
Remember
called?
Jealousy?
I remember the name, but I don't remember.
That
what
was
it
Bill Bonds'
Probably it.
band.
Oh.
was
Remember they had
Jealousy.
flyers in the junior high?
No, I don't know.
And we were jealous of Jealousy? No.
Yeah, I remember a chick died.
Wait, a girl? No.
She actually died.
Well, she went into cardiac
Oh.
arrest. They called the ambulance. They shocked her and brought her back to life.
What?
Yeah. And then she went off. And I remember it was this kid that I went to, Scott Sloan was his name, went to Mississippi with me. This is one of his sisters.
Do you remember that, Al?
I do now.
You think
Yeah.
you'd remember a girl having a heart attack?
Yeah, I
Mike,
didn't
I
till
think
now.
you were off eating yaki mandu with your mom
probably
or something
was.
somewhere.
I was
I
using
swear to God, you guys came and Mike had like a bowl of noodles. I wish I could make this up. He's eating some weird Asian, Korean,
Kimchi.
I can imagine
kimchi
it,
or something.
but I've never done that in my whole life. Eat noodles at a gig. But it sounds good. I was
But I
probably
think-
drinking sake.
Some reason I think like I swear to God, I remember Mike was with his mom. You might have missed it. You might have showed up after it, or it went down, and then you like, well, I'm gonna go get something to eat out at the carnival, and then you like came back,
Wow, I didn't know a girl
and
had a
then it
heart
was like,
attack.
oh, okay, it's over. Then we played. Yeah, they shut us down, but then I think the other band played too, which doesn't make any sense because why would they shut us down after 2 songs or whatever?
You know what's really sad is a girl almost dies. We go up and play For Whom the Bell Tolls, or what was it? Ride the Lightning.
Yeah.
We didn't have
Yeah.
any compassion. Just
Right.
we're gonna
I'm
rock.
pretty sure I had a distortion pedal for that at that
Well, we got
point.
paid for that show. That was the first
Did
time
we?
we'd been paid to perform.
Oh,
So
that's
then we were
Tiffany's?
professionals.
Awesome.
$100. We had $100
Didn't we
check.
get any money from Lisa's gig? Or no?
Oh, I
Was it
don't
because
think
we
so.
won
No.
the Battle of the Bands? That was
Right.
our prize,
Right.
$100.
That happened another time when we won studio time. And we never got it.
Dude, we played
don't know.
a girl, 2 girls' 8th grade birthday party. Didn't get paid, and I didn't even get to squeeze a boobie or anything.
Didn't get paid. Didn't get laid.
Didn't get paid. Didn't get laid.
Hope's birthday, right in her garage.
Oh God,
Remember that?
That was right after Epiphany.
And Lisa. That
That
we were
was-
on fire.
Then we play in some dude's backyard up in Andover.
That was
Yes.
Christopher
and the
Blood's
cop shut it
backyard.
down. No, not on the lake.
Yeah.
Remember the lake though? We wanted to
We
redo
did.
Hangar 18.
But we
video
went
or
to
something.
Yep, up on the deck.
Yeah, us three on top.
Phil and
the other
Dan
on the bottom.
LeClaire's.
Phil and Dan LeClaire's backyard.
was off of
They had a
Hanson.
stage that was like 6 feet in the air. They built this like stage.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that was
Ryan
when
Malick
somebody
was
was standing on the silver tone head of my dad's guitar head. I think we were using that for vocals.
That was our PA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that right. It was like
Yeah.
just a vocal amp.
Yeah.
I think we played 3 songs, and the Andover cops showed up.
I did a video on that.
We're like,
Remember
we're in
that.
the country. No one's gonna complain. Like 2 songs later, yeah, you're gonna have to. Now, I did have myself an ugly cry earlier today before we did this because I know I was gonna get emotional. I put on the MDC album, and one of the lyrics. What was the lyric of "Just Face It"?
I cry when I hear that album
Feeling
as well.
Is that feeling young but grass being old? I was like,
Yeah.
Now it's real.
Yeah.
Just face it, Cory.
I'm like, I'm like, okay, got it out.
We're
know,
not
the-
just grasping old now.
The
We are
original
old.
recording of that song, do you guys remember what the name of it was before I changed it to
Just
Face It? Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, just
And
Blood's
Mike,
like,
I was probably
"Oh,
going
no,
through.
my mom's
know.
gonna have a problem with it.
I know that I was going through kind of a hard time at that
She doesn't like
point.
that
too.
intro.
Yeah.
I didn't want to hang out with friends
Yeah.
or anything like that, and I was like, Christopher, Mike, can I come over and just jam for a little bit? And at that time, you had a room in the Anoka house. That house was huge, and there
had
was
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
rooms.
rooms down in
Yeah.
the basement.
Yeah,
and this one
crazy.
was kind of off the back of the pool, and it just felt like a studio. It was kind of like wood, siding.
It was the
and-
sauna.
And yeah, and
Oh,
I
you
go,
had a
next to the
sauna.
I
sauna,
go
yeah.
in there and there's some recording gear and I'm like, Christopher, can you jam some songs? And Mike played a little bit. I'm like, just do a simple track. I just kind of feel like improvising for a little while, just kind of feeling like hell. and getting the ideas out. And the first thing that comes out is, it. And I'm like, oh, I kind of like this riff. And I could transform that energy back into music. And when our band broke up, that was the hardest thing for me to get over, was not having that way to communicate my feelings.
Yeah.
You know, probably led to alcoholism for me and several of the other things that I went through. But yeah, you get used to that. That was like saying hello. Hi,
Yeah,
my name's
that's
Alan.
your release
This is how I feel. You know, I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you. I'm just gonna put it in this guitar, and you guys are there. You are my friends. You know, you guys are the friends that I know I can come to and jam, and these other people are just kind of shooting me down the wrong way.
Yeah.
What I wanted to do.
I am glad that you could do that, because I was never a writer. I was just thinking about this today. Like, oh, would you ever consider yourself a musician? Like, well, how can I be a musician if I don't even pick up a bass anymore? You know, like I don't even really play that much. I really have put it under the microscope. Like, I just wanted to be on stage. I just wanted to be an entertainer. Playing the bass for me at the time was like, that was just the easiest way to do it. You know? But I'm glad you could write the songs, because I felt the same feelings. It's just like when you hear a song on the radio and you can relate, I can relate. So I got the same release, even though it wasn't my emotional moment that created it. I could still feel it. I still feel it when I listen to it today. And I'm
If you guys
when you said feeling young but grasping old, and it just like cut me to the core, just like, ah.
That's why I feel like there's a lot of bands, a lot of musicians, a lot of groups that they write some of their best material when they're at their lowest point or whatnot. Then they become commercial, or they get a lot of money. It fixes a lot of their other problems, right? You know, maybe not the original problem, but fixes a lot of other things. And you see that creativity kind of fade.
Yeah, there's like a sweet spot
Dissolve.
where everyone's just in it. It's like everybody's like, when you said that was your release, but it was also our identities for a long time.
Right.
It's like, you're the guy in Sanctus. Oh, you're the guy in the metal band, especially in junior high when we got our new shirts and we're walking down the hall. It did become very ego-driven for a while, and I think when that dissolved, it started changing, and we didn't know how to. I couldn't keep it on the rails.
Well, you
for
look at the
myself.
original things. It's self-esteem. You know, I mean, we
We went from a place 0 to 100.
We're teenagers, and with my sons, I see the same thing. This lack of confidence, and it's like, oh, I wish I could just help you and tell you. You know,
Here's a guitar.
yeah, this will pass. It gets better. It gets better, guys.
That's weird. All you guys
know?
have kids now.
It's different. You know, when all I can think of is I remember how we grew up, but it's different for them than it is for us. I mean, we live in a whole different generation, cell phones, everything. And
Oh, yeah.
This is Scott Heddle. I used to sing for a band called Animosity and another one called Snafu. I first met Sanctus, and they were playing like a Monday night at Ryan's. And
Why does he sound like he's on a
Ryan's, if you
payphone?
remember, was the place that later became Station 4 and had the poles in the middle. And there was just a few people there. Monday nights didn't draw in a whole lot of people. And I remember sitting down front table watching these guys all the way through their set, and I was just like, wow, I was just amazed at one, how good they were, and two, how good the music was. And it was really fun. We watched them and then talked to them afterwards and decided to put some shows together after a while. And we had some Sunday nights at Mirage that were just crazy, just tons of kids there. And
I remember those.
it was a lot of fun. All the guys were just super awesome in that band. They were mega talented, really nice and personable and easy to get along with. And their music just rocked. They're probably one of the best bands to come to the Twin Cities of all time.
Okay, settle down, Scott.
Wow, yeah.
Settle down.
I've seen tons of bands, and that's a pretty huge thing to say, but you know, that's what I believe. You know,
Thank you, Scott.
the original Sanctus, I remember when they played Swords of Sadness, I was just blown away. So they not only were fellow musicians, but they're also friends. And I just really enjoyed playing with them, and we had some great times. I'm not really good at this, so I just wanted to say a couple words about them.
That's awesome.
Thanks.
I love Scott. He was so nervous. He's like, I don't know why, but when I was trying to do the voicemail, I got really nervous. I'm like, dude, you used to sing in front of hundreds of people. You know?
That was so cool.
But he was a huge part of our band for a long time.
Oh yeah.
Well, do you remember it was him and Annie had a zine. It was like, because remember that night, your dad, like, these guys from this Emerald City are they're gonna write a story about you and put you in their zine. And I was like, what's a zine? What's that? Well, it's like, I don't know, some kind of a newspaper. And then I found out what it was, like people, grassroots, making their own magazines about whatever the hell they want it to be about. And I think it was just like Minneapolis music scene. So they just, each month or whenever, maybe they made 4 of them a year. They'd just do an interview. I remember, because I think we actually did an interview. Remember the times we actually did a few, like, actual newspaper interviews? Andy.
Oh, God.
Matt Reesness's neighbor, Andy.
I remember Andy.
Andy.
Young? Remember
His sister was a couple years older, and she was like a journalism student at AR. And my sister is going to do a story on you guys for the AR.
Was she the one that changed all our words afterwards?
Probably.
Said we're Metallica babies and we worship Metallica and all that
Probably.
stuff.
Wow.
Which was true.
Yeah, she wasn't lying.
You shouldn't.
You couldn't tell the
The
influence.
truth hurts.
That's when we learned the truth about journalism. It's like we didn't say half the stuff. I don't know why.
Yeah, where'd she get that from?
Well,
Like, made it
Scott,
up.
I used to go hang out with those guys when they would practice too, and they'd always have a kegger down in the basement, South Minneapolis.
They were so nice.
And they were the friendliest band ever, though. Lee,
Totally.
I mean, those guys.
Still are. I mean, when we played with them not too long ago, they were awesome.
Every time Freebird would come up, we would all sing. It was like the closing song of the night at a bar. And Freebird is it, and Alan, and you do it, and we're gonna play this on stage next time our bands play together, and I want you guys to be part of it. We should transition as we're playing, and I'm like, sounds cool to me.
I don't think we ever did that. I think Al just ran up and sang with them a few times, right?
That was kind of the intent, though. He kind of wanted us to kind of have an all-out jam.
He's very
It's always
inclusive.
about the.
That's it. He had such a knack for like bringing the scene together and
Yeah.
getting bands. Like he'd put these shows with all these cool bands on. Remember when with Psycho Head?
Head,
You guys remember Mike Johnson?
Yeah.
Mikey Johnson? He's still out there.
Yeah.
He's still in the trenches.
Brutus.
Oh,
playing
yeah.
Brutus. But his was like Sucker Punch
I remember Sucker
Back in
Punch.
those-
and all that stuff. But one time, Al said, "Hey, Scott Heddle called me. We're going to go to this rehearsal space that's in it was in the ground floor of the Cedar Riverside crack stacks, He's like, hey, we're going to go to this party. I'm like, what? Brutus is getting back together, or they did a rent party. It was just some weird, wasn't even a space. It was just some room. And Scott invited, and I think we only went because at this time we were probably recording the album. So we weren't gigging. It was a Friday night that we were just going to go hang with Scott and Mikey Johnson and whoever else was there. That's the only time I've been scared. You talked about going to Metallica, but when Al brought me to West Bank or whatever,
Yeah,
and
I
it was
remember.
rough back then. I mean, you think it's rough now. It was rough back then, too.
To
And
go
it was
see Brutus. on
dude, we're in
top
some
of it.
shady name. I'm going to get mugged. I don't
Once
even
you
have
got a
any
wrist
money.
tag, though, remember it was free drinks once. You
It
got
was a
wrist
kegger.
tag.
Yes.
Oh, my
This was
God.
I think it was.
You guys parked in the alley?
Well, I'm pretty
I
sure I
don't
was
remember.
19. Al might have been 20 because we were doing the album.
Yeah.
And we went in I didn't drink it. They gave me a wristband. I didn't like beer. It wasn't even, I'd never been. Well, maybe Al got me high one time and maybe had one beer.
One?
But that time I was like, I'm not drinking. But yeah, it was some kind of rent. Keg, I don't know.
Think how much shit we did before 21. I just realized that when you said that.
I did all the cool stuff.
Well, Mike,
before
if
I
you
was
remember my
21.
21st birthday, we went to Ryan's. And it was like no big deal to me. It was actually pretty lame. I was like, geez, we've already been here a million times.
We've seen Regime with strippers on stage.
I've probably already drank here more than I probably would now. This is kind of lame. You know? Now they just go, oh,
allegedly.
This guy's, but he didn't turn 21 till today. Oh, no, don't tell anybody.
It was different back then. You could live under the radar a little bit, fly under the radar.
Well, you were supposed to be 16 to work in a bar, but mostly 18, I think, after that point.
As long as we had an adult, right? We were okay.
But I definitely remember Dean bringing us a couple what?
Rum and Coke.
It's Tony Zaccardi.
Hey, Al, Cory, Christopher,
He
Mike.
owns Palmer's Bar on the West Bank.
27 years ago, we started playing shows together at that giant concert hall, the Mirage. And I remember being 17 years old, loading in for a Sanctus, Snafu, and Steeple show, one of many we did back then.
Steeple.
And seeing Sanctus on stage, sound checking for the first time. Mike, I think we called him China at the time. Everyone had perfect long ass, beautiful hair, tight pants. But I remember it was the first time I'd ever seen like a real thrash band, just real metal live in person. Al's vocals. Learned a lot back then, like mostly that I wasn't very good at playing bass guitar.
Whatever.
But had a lot of fun with you guys back then, making records at Christopher's studio, singing back.
God, everybody recorded with you, Chris.
Congratulations on all these years. I couldn't find my cassette tape this morning. It's somewhere in storage, but big influence on an early part of my life and continued success. I guess now we should have a party at Jelly Bean and Julia's here pretty soon to celebrate. Maybe see some live music one more time, huh? Congrats, guys. Again, thanks for all the memories.
That's awesome.
So first of all, remember Steeple drew like 300 people, and so they kept getting awesome
Brooklyn Park
gigs.
High School or whatever.
And didn't they all leave right before we went on? It was just like, look at all these people, and then they were just all gone. I was like, damn, they're popular.
They, I saw them play a show at a church in Brooklyn Park back in the day that was pretty packed. So I knew that these guys being on the bill that we were going to do, we're going to draw people.
Yeah, that was cool. I reached out to Tony. I'm just like, I wonder if he remembers, but I forgot that we used to have those like small stage Mirage gigs together, and we worked at Schmidt Music together.
I got a story about Tony Zaccardi if he listens to this. Going down to the Lollapalooza 1996 show in Des Moines, Iowa. And you can even see in this video today, 24 years later, he still wears a hoodie. I remember it was like 95 degrees that day, and the dude had 3 black hoodies. And I was like, dude, aren't you hot? He's like, I got to layer up.
He looks good. He looks like he hasn't aged much,
I like layers, and I was like, dude, it's hot as fuck. You're crazy. You got 3 black hoodies on. What are you doing? I definitely remember that, and I think every time I see him, I always remind him, dude, you had 3 hoodies on. It was like over 90 degrees. Yeah, I was trying to cover myself up.
I have a weird memory of Tony because someone had a practice space with Tony, and for some reason, you and I were there. And what happened? He was jamming with his friend who was always with him, Ben or something. And they called me into their space, and they were playing Skid Row songs for some reason. It's like, dude, sing "I Remember You," the hardest song ever to sing. Yeah. And I couldn't do it. And I was like, I dropped an octave during the chorus, and they're like, "No, you gotta really sing it." And so I basically embarrassed myself to no end. And to this day, I practice every day singing that song.
I don't.
No,
okay,
thank God nobody else
wish
saw
I
it.
would have seen that.
It was a weird practice space where you and I played covers together for some reason. Remember we were playing like Everlong and shit?
So was this like way post?
I think it was Jay Kruger's space, I think. Because he had his 8-track there.
City Sound?
I don't know the name.
So where was you guys' favorite practice space?
I have questions like that. People submitted questions.
Am I skipping ahead here?
By the way, I remember the practice phase at your house. Remember that with the cat piss?
That's when we got tight.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the everyday after school.
Sorry about that, Christopher.
Yeah.
Well,
I still smell that.
We had to.
I pull that case.
We had to hurry.
It doesn't go away. I know.
We had to hurry right to Al's house, practice, because then I had to go work at KFC.
Okay.
You guys and your chicken.
I got pulled over
I'm tired of
by
hearing
a
about
Coon
it.
Rapids peace officer.
After practice?
After practice, on my way to Danny and Cindy's Music where I worked. And I made it right onto Robinson Drive, out of the driveway, and the lights
DC
were on.
Music USA.
He figured I was the guy making a lot of that metal music down in the basement, and just said that the neighbors had a small child and that the music was too loud.
They heard us. They pulled you over because of it.
Yeah, they pulled me. They saw me coming out and the hair, and
They
I'll be in my
remember
Chevy
that.
Nova and pulled over right there. Right.
So did we stop practicing there then?
Yeah, we
after
did.
that?
After
We
that,
did.
yeah.
We did get an actual knock on the door too from the cops when we were playing. I think that was like a warning, and when they actually came up to the house, that's when we cut it. That's when we went and got our first like real space, and that was downtown Minneapolis with the Flip.
No,
Wasn't it?
It was actually St. Paul. We played at the Rossmer building.
Yeah, down in the
I
basement.
remember the Rossmore
basement.
building. That was the first one.
Yeah. Then we went to
Remember the elevator?
the one with
that the
Flip
place
right by
with
Tropics nightclub in
that's the one I think I
Minneapolis,
remember.
and the view out the back window. That was probably my favorite.
Yeah,
that's
mine
why I was
too.
going to jump to
That
it.
turned
that
into a studio. It was a
giant
studio.
room.
It had the big windows. It had the
mirrors, right?
scary
Yeah.
elevator. And the step rail out the back of the building overlooking where Target Field is right
Okay,
now.
but do you remember why we couldn't practice there for like 2 full weeks?
No.
We had to go to Cooler Sound, and us and Flip shared someone else's space.
Yeah, I remember that.
for a
Yeah.
little bit because Paul Westerberg was
that's right.
rehearsing for a tour,
Oh.
and it was like, you guys can't be here.
Was that after Singles came out and he was touring again or something?
It was way after Singles. This was 95.
There was
95, 96-ish.
There was just an aura about that place that really.
Oh, okay.
I remember Christopher's car got towed from there.
Yeah.
That was a bad thing. It
that
ended up in
reminds
the
me, it was
impound
always-
lot.
That was the place we drove by, and as you're driving your car, you're like, "Where's my car?" It's ironic that you did get towed eventually.
That was a
weird.
not good moment. Christopher was pissed.
Where's my car?
Wow.
You got towed?
Yeah, because we were in that back. They didn't tell us where we could park.
God, I just hated all that.
Oh, downtown is
I just miss practicing at your
for
crooked.
that stuff. You never
It was
know.
a shady area. I
We
don't
were-
think you liked parking the car there anyways. And I think it was the Honda, right?
Yeah,
the nice
probably.
Honda
Yeah.
at the time.
One of the new white Hondas you had.
I've had multiple things going to practice. I remember when we practiced at your house, and I had my first car, the Jeep with the Sanctus cover on the back, right?
Bronco. The
The
Bronco.
Bronco. That's
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bronco.
Yeah.
And then I pull up to your house and I tell Dean, I'm like, something's not right with this. He looks at it and he's like, yeah, you don't have any oil.
You just never thought about it.
Yeah, I was like, I never knew you're supposed to put oil in cars.
You blew like 3
Yeah,
rods.
yeah. Had to get a new engine.
That's I remember that was like
Get a
so
whole new
expensive.
engine,
You know,
yeah.
Ford has reissued the Bronco now. So
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it the
coming
OJ
out.
Bronco?
No, they stopped making it because of the Like I just
Really?
listened to a podcast about this. Why would Ford stop making the Bronco? It was like they invented the SUV with the Bronco.
Yeah.
Thanks,
But after
OJ.
that summer of '94, they wanted to distance
With the
themselves from the
rollovers,
name. No, from the OJ slow car chase.
Yeah, the
Oh, I
white
see.
Bronco.
Because the entire world associated a Bronco with
A killer.
a murderer.
Okay, from Mark N. We'll keep him somewhat anonymous. Were any of you guys forced to practice as kids? And this is really interesting if you think about it. And I'd say we were a pretty successful band, and I don't think any of us had a gun to our head to practice music.
no.
The only forcing that we did was force each other.
Right.
It was like it was pressure, pure
Especially
pressure.
that summer.
Yeah, yeah. There was that certain time that something clicked for us, but nothing for before that.
I actually quit guitar. I was taking lessons at the Schmidt group lessons. Is how I started.
With Rick,
Yeah,
was his name?
yeah. Wow. First song I learned was "Owner of a Lonely Heart." Yes, I'll
And
never forget that.
Rock You Like a Hurricane. I
Yeah,
remember you play
and
that.
I liked it because everybody was at my skill level, so we all sucked, and we taught each other, and it was inspiring to learn. And when that went away, my mom said, "Well, let's continue private lessons." I did private lessons for about 3 times, and I wouldn't practice. And I go home and the songs be reading music, which I'm horrible at. I can do it.
practice these
I can do it, but I'm about as slow as a
Right?
snail.
You
know, I
practice
just-
out half hour a week.
Yeah, I right before the lesson, and then they knew it. I'd get in there and he'd be like, "Have you practiced?" I'm like, "Well, I just did a couple of notes. My fingers already hurt. And he's like, "Yeah, this isn't really working out. If you don't want to do it, just let me know." And I told my mom like, "Yeah, this isn't really working for me," and I kind of quit playing until Mike had some Kemp's buckets that turned into a drum set one day, or it was a little snare drum and
The one my grandma bought me that you sat on the kick
little
drum and flattened
3-piece.
it. Yep.
And you're like, you still got that guitar? Yeah, I do. Bring it over.
The vanilla yellow.
You know what's really funny?
And we did like
Strat.
one jam, and I'm like, wow, Mike is really good with rhythm. You know, I mean, he's playing this crummy little drum set, and it sounds great.
I had a lamp for a cymbal holder. Remember, it was a lamp, and I put the cymbal on top.
And it totally inspired me back in. So Mike kind of brought me out of quitting right off the get-go. I could have been just another guy who never learned to play.
Well, this guy, if you think about it, he plays guitar now, but just like Jared Johnson said, he was a drummer in the beginning.
Oh, yeah, he was
right?
very
Drummer
good at drums.
on buckets.
But if you listen to the story that like Lars and James tell, oh yeah, Lars had this like Muppet kit, like a little kid's, like it wasn't a real kit.
That's,
Who does that sound like?
That's my
That sounds
grandma bought me
exactly
that.
like Mike. It's like the same thing.
it was exactly
You were
it.
the Hetfield. He was actually the Lars, who actually became the Kirk later because he started playing guitar.
Well,
But
Mike,
no, there's definitely a parallel.
Mike got that
there.
harmony guitar, the Sears guitar.
Yeah, the Les
and
Paul knockout.
Yeah, and the PV amp, which was huge.
Larry
that thing
got
was
it,
awesome.
actually.
I was so jealous. I'm like, I got this little Fender Squier that's like a 8-inch speaker, and
Square 15.
Mike's got this cabinet with 412s.
It was a
in
PA system.
It was a PA setup.
It was
yeah.
this tall, and it sounded like yours
was a
had
vocal-
better distortion than mine.
That
It was a vocal
distortion was
amp.
not.
I had to take a knife and cut holes in my speaker like Jimi Hendrix to get any.
But teaching Mike, he passed me in guitar in probably 2 weeks. And I was
it's
like,
the same thing that Jared.
wow,
Jared
he's good.
Johnson said.
Wow,
I've been
he's
playing
good.
since I was
Mental
5, and
issues.
Mike passed me up in about like 3 months.
Most memorable gig.
Hmm.
When the regime had the strippers, it was the first time I saw.
I
real
have that on
boobs.
video somewhere.
First time I saw real naked lady
Real naked
boobies.
Besides your mom.
Yeah.
Your mom was the first time I've seen naked
Don't
women.
talk about
First
my
time I've
mom.
ever seen lactating boobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess technically I saw him later, but not the way I saw him that night.
I thought all boobs did that after seeing that. She's just like,
So Mike spent the next 20 years going, "Where's the stuff?
Yeah.
You're not shooting it out."
Well, that is really bizarre that we went through that.
For me, first to have main
That is
room
really bizarre.
was by
Yeah.
far.
This, tell them about the sound check when you almost
Oh yeah,
had a heart attack.
Yeah, the sound check when we first get set up when we're ready to go. Okay, let's play a song, and then I'm playing and having a good old time, and the rest of the guys turn around and look at me with fright, like, "What's going on?" And I couldn't hear anything. I was on the whole different part of the song, and I thought that was going to be the whole show, is that I wasn't going to be able to hear you guys. That
But
I
then
was
the
going to
monitors
just have
kicked in,
to.
right?
Well, then they turned out. We were like, I was freaking out, thinking that's just how it was on a big stage because you just couldn't hear things. And it turns out the monitor guy's like, "Oh yeah, I didn't have your drum monitor on." And so he turned it on, and it was like the best sounding thing I'd ever heard in my life. I had like my toms going through my monitors. I mean, it was just like awesome. But for a little bit of a moment, I was like,
Well, First Avenue was the
nervous.
first time we ever had a place that had a separate monitor mix on the side, because the house is in the back, and then they had a totally separate monitor mix right on the side of the stage. That's the first time we ever had that.
Oh, a separate monitor guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Separate monitor guy that ran just the stage monitors, and then like house guy did like, I'm like, what's this sorcery?
Yeah.
There's a guy that just does the monitors. Like, how does this work?
Yeah.
And then you said like, all of a sudden you could hear everything.
Yeah.
It was like one button, right?
I had
All of a
him-
sudden, boom,
Yeah.
everything
It
came
was
in.
just like, oh my
That's
gosh.
weird. He didn't have anything in
Pretty
there,
awesome.
and if you wouldn't have said anything, you might have played the show that way.
Yeah. Well, no, he had it all in there. He just had the master muted, so there was nothing coming through it.
Okay, so that was your most memorable gig?
For sure.
Did you guys have?
I would say March
agree.
27th of '94, and I remember it because we played with
You guys in your
Snafu.
date? You guys call me
what's
autistic.
March
Yeah.
27th?
You guys are like Rain Man. over
Uh,
here.
was that?
We were seniors in high school, Mike. I had just got my license. 'cause
It's your
I turned
birthday
18.
month.
Yeah, I turned 18 in March, and I had a car. You know, I had a car. I was finally a man. I had all this responsibility at my
Sounds
fingertips.
like the Wonder Years right now.
And we had a show with Snafu and Akron, I believe.
Oh my God.
And we were the middle band of that set. And Akron came on, and they were fantastic. But the crowd was kind of lame. And about 10 minutes before we took stage.
This was at the Mirage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to pee probably every 2 minutes. My nerves were, I was shaking. I was literally shaking.
Was this
like
one of these when we had a lot of kids?
we
from
had
school in the
probably
audience?
1,200 people come to see us that night. It was the
way.
most people we've
This is the
ever
video
played.
that Mike's talking
They
about
were
with the
packed
shots from the side of the
upstairs,
stage.
the whole upstairs. I remember getting on stage, and in the Mirage, there'd be a bunch of flashing lights that were all kind of up by the top floor, so you couldn't really ever see that top floor. All the
was like
times we
silhouettes.
played there, you'd see a couple of heads. They had a bar that was upstairs and a bar downstairs, and they had the split all ages
Yep.
down the middle. Both sides were completely packed on the floor, and it was the first time I'd ever seen the whole building completely packed.
Oh, yeah.
And we took the stage, and it was nuts. The roar of the crowd before we even came out was like,
I have it on
That's
video.
the show, dude.
my.
Is that
That's
the
the
one where you
show.
have the video from the side?
From
Yes.
the side, yeah.
Yeah.
To
From the
me,
side, he did both sides, and he gets the side view for the middle breakdown part of Incomplete, and all three of us are like doing that stomp.
Yeah.
Syncopated to that beat, to the dun dun.
You almost ran into
Mike
me.
is spinning around. I'm doing my crazy like hop thing on every note, and almost like the crowd was almost like
Right,
kind
yeah.
of doing the pogo thing
yeah,
too. That was the night. You're absolutely right.
I
It's
would
the first
stare
time
into
the
those
place
lights,
was like wall to wall.
and I would say, God, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, I will never feel this in my life. You know, like to experience this is truly like, this is like the electricity going
Yeah.
through our fingers and everything.
That
like,
fueled us, the adrenaline and the excitement.
There's
I don't think
nothing-
we remember playing actually because it was all
I can't really describe
Out
any
of
other
body.
feeling than that. Is if somebody gets a show where they make the big one. That was like, I know First Avenue was huge for us, and the sound was fantastic. It was probably the first time I realized we could sound that good. You know, honestly, like, whoa, we can actually sound really good. But we took that kind of on our own tail, and that whole show was kind of driven by us and getting our fans into it. And you guys drew a lot of people from school. You were juniors in high school. Mike and I were seniors, and everybody was starting to catch on. And people that we had grown up with in school were maturing. Everybody was going to go off and do their own thing. It was just like such a wild time in our lives, you know. And to turn 18 on that was just, yeah.
be 18
Yeah,
and be
it
able
was
to
kind of
feel
your birthday show, sort of.
It was welcome to the world, and we hit that thing coming out on fire. And
I'll have
fantastic.
to quote my favorite guy ever, my favorite writer, singer songwriter, Colin Hay, from Men at Work, has had this like crazy high career, and then he hit rock bottom, playing in front of like 3 people in some bar in LA, and then he kind of built his career back up, and he has this song where he's sort of telling the story of Men at Work, where they were like #1 on the Billboard charts, and like, I went to New York. I've heard him talk about the song. He says, I met my parents. They came to New York City. We had a limo, and my father was like, "Ooh, a white limo!" Like, ooh. But in the song, the lyrics are, "I had myself a moment." About like, he realized like he was experiencing his zenith. You know, it's like that moment on stage.
You know what
in
it
those
is?
songs
It's
when
the
it's
Rocky
all,
moment where like at the
Yes.
end he puts his hand up. It's
Right.
like the best your life will ever be, and it pauses on that.
Right.
And I'll tell you, here's where the depression comes in.
Yeah.
Is when you feel like you hit your peak at like 17 years old, and then you kind of live the rest of your life almost, at least for me. I mean, we all have a different story, right? Well, this is all I know. Like your identity of, I'm not Cory. I'm Cory, the bass player in X band. Like I'm the bassist for that. So when that stops, you go, well, I don't have that anymore. Like, what am I? I'm just some dude from Coon Rapids.
I remember going to watch a Hook Echo show, and it had to be about 2001.
Yeah.
And you guys
yeah.
were in your peak.
Yeah.
And I went down to a show at the Fine Line.
Yes.
And
Yep.
I watched you
Weird
play,
stage.
and I'm like, that's my f***ing bass
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
What the f*** is he doing with this
Yeah.
guy? With Phil?
Yeah, Phil.
Who,
Oh
are
my
you
God,
kidding
Phil
me?
Wright.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I know Cory.
Yeah,
I mean, we
yeah.
started Aerosmith days.
Yeah.
It's like
you
watching your
know,
ex-wife
and-
sleeping with some new dude or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
it
and I'll
was
tell ya-
it was really hard because I'm like, oh, I really miss that. But then I'd tell myself after that, too, there's some of that I don't miss.
Yeah.
That's what somebody actually asked a question about. They're like, if you could go back to your younger self and let me find it from Laszlo. Wade Laszlo?
Wade.
Yeah. Unholy.
It just says Laszlo.
Yeah.
That's got to be Wade. Yeah.
But it was like an Instagram name.
Right.
The dude
cool.
with the mustache?
I don't think it was Wade Laszlo, but maybe.
Oh,
That was the
yeah.
lead singer,
I'm
right?
sure it's
That
Wade.
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, I'm sure
Says,
it's
hey,
Wade.
this is Wade. No, I'm just kidding. What would your younger selves think about who you are today? It looks like you didn't want to do anything in your future besides play metal. So I thought that.
Yeah, my life took a whole different kind of turn, I'm a grandpa, which is, that's amazing.
That's crazy.
I'm a grandfather. I'm grandpa. And
Grandpa Al.
yeah, even the guys I work with, they're like, grandpa. They just, can't get over it.
Then you got to tell them the whole story. Like, well,
Right.
it's like my wife's older kid's kid who's like,
I remember in our band, we started off as such metal, thrash metal.
Right.
And then you went for a while, you went trippy to a point where it was kind of a joke, like, oh, Al wants to get trippy on this song.
Right.
And then Cory started wearing skirts and I don't know, wanted to get alternative, and I wanted to get electronic. And I think you always just wanted to stay metal, right?
I think so.
So it was like this
Stay
pulling
true to
apart.
it.
well, I
Chris is
started,
the true.
I started going down the like social distortion.
Yeah, you like ska
punk.
stuff more
Well, yeah,
than...
I kind of got into that side of it afterward because it was kind of like something new. It was like, oh, well, what's this? There's something besides metal out here.
Yeah. And there's pressure.
I like this. It's kind of good. Like, when did this come out? 92, and I'm like, God, why was I listening to this back then when it came out? It just wasn't on my radar.
But do you remember the pressure we all felt when like alternative got big all of a sudden and we're like still playing old thrash metal?
Yeah.
And it's like, we
Well,
got to
yeah.
update a little bit. And it was, I think that kind of...
Well,
People,
no,
people
that-
gave us a hard time about it sometimes. They'd be like, why are you playing that?
Yeah, but
And-
it felt like if we played early Metallica vibe again, we were just like not growing. But I think I wanted us to grow too fast, and Cory wanted us to grow a certain direction. I don't know. It just got really
Well,
confusing.
What I think really happened is it's sort of that. We did go through a weird transitional time where, like, when we recorded the album, like, we wrote those songs in the studio, like,
Yeah, that
Burning
hit
It Out.
right at that point.
Like, I listened to Burning It Out, it's like, that's Mike trying to be Pearl Jam or something. That that little like funky kind of riff.
Frankfurt
I
and
listened to it. I could never really figure it out. Like, it's kind of like a weird Pearl Jam vibe in a way. Like when they do those weird,
Vitology kind of.
yeah, like chicky chords or whatever. Like, you kind of hear that. And then I'm listening to the whatever that weird organ break in. What song is that? Where it kicks in.
I think I actually wrote that funky
like,
vibe one.
Yeah, don't blame me. Let's get-
Like,
I do believe that was mine.
I loved the organ. That was like, hey, Mike's getting into keyboards. Let's do an organ here.
Oh, that was dun 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 dun. dun. See, I don't remember the
Yeah,
names.
it's that big breakdown. Is that I
Oh.
just watch?
No,
I just-
Fragmented.
Fragmented.
We actually played that at our reunion show.
Right, Fragmented.
Love that song.
It's, what was I saying now? Totally lost my train of thought.
I don't know, but I think we recorded that album right when that thing I was talking about was at its worst. Because
Yes.
like we were distanced from Al a little bit. You
Right.
weren't really that. Chris and I were always at Gary's. I didn't know what I wanted. I bought this new freaking rack head that sounded like, but I thought
Yeah.
it was like Smashing
Remember that.
Pumpkin sounding. So
Yeah.
I did that. And I feel like all these scattered ideas just did not equate to a very good thing, a thing in the end. But I think if we would have recorded a year before that, it would have been a lot different.
I think it was a weird time because also at that time, like, Korn was coming out. Like, there was still metal.
New metal was getting.
But the metal was the new metal.
It's like
right? It was
Melancholy,
different.
I think, came out and everybody
like
wanted to go.
Deftones. Like, if we could have somehow shifted to something like that a little bit before that album, we might have hung on. We might have like almost seamlessly made a shift into heavy music.
We
just
could have
the
been a
newer
heavy Pearl
version
Jam
of
or
the
something.
heavy.
I think if we would have honestly all gotten on the same page and like worked through Chris's studio and not felt that pressure of going to Gary's and having to do
Right.
things his way. Because every time I listen to old demos that we did with Chris, do you remember when we did Fragmented with
Yeah.
you? And you were learning how to do things on a Mackie board and it sounded, I don't want to say better, but it did. It sounded better.
It did.
Because we knew what we wanted and Gary was kind of new. He was doing reggae
Right.
before us, I think.
Okay,
You know-
so this is also the same year
It just came
that Metallica
together.
came out with Load and they cut their hair.
Yeah.
Now, what I want to know is, did we release our album before Load came out? Were we
Yes.
influenced by that Metallica change at all?
No.
So we were first. Then Load came out later.
Right.
I think we were
Because
more
if you think
influenced.
about it-
we were more influenced by the alternative movement. I
Right,
think.
but what I'm saying is also that's also at the time when they stylistically really changed. And
They had to
people
go through what we went through,
well,
but we
yeah,
didn't.
they
survive.
had like a backlash. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's when they went from being like a metal band to like a booty shaking rock. Like I don't know how to call it rock. Like it was just very hard rock. It wasn't even quite
I'd
metal
say
anymore.
blues, more blues, a lot of
Blues,
pentatonic.
heavy.
Blues metal.
But they shifted, and like it's funny if you think about it. We kind of shifted too to this thing that was more of a. There was more of a groove to those riffs. They were more. They flowed more than the riffage of the previous like.
That's what the alternative
version.
movement did. It made people want to be more musical, more chordy. I listened to I watched that whole show last night on that tape, and every song is do da do da do da do da, and my solos are just stupid. And Al plays a solo in the song we just watched.
Freedom's Chain.
No,
Can you
more
share
Mental Combat. And I was in that other room, and I'm like, finally, I slowed down and played something melodic. It was your solo. I'm like, then my solo came in. I'm like,
I couldn't
see,
go that fast.
we were just all adrenaline, like we were pumped up and we wanted to be fast and crazy. But then when we tried to go musical, I think we went in too many directions and it just lost
Keep in
its
mind,
focus.
guys, there was some of this that was beyond us too. The band name change, which we had to do. You know, it wasn't like we could keep the name Sanctus.
Yeah.
So when you change your name, I go from Alan to,
So-
Patrick, you know.
Did we just
Where did
change
Alan
the name
go?
because of the new style of song?
No, because
better.
we had to copyright it, and the band Sanctus was in California, and they had produced, and still to this day,
Mark Lacoste, we were just talking about him. He is the first guy to say, "Hey, there's another Sanctus," and he showed us like a tape of it, and I got so depressed.
Right.
So you're right. I forgot about that.
But was it
right?
when we were a band? Or
Yeah.
was it
Yes.
after?
So
was
we
before
had
that.
to change the name,
Oh,
and
I
we
totally
all
forgot.
We all
That's
sat
why.
down and came up with. I'm sure I had some off the wall.
We had
stuff.
huge lists. I remember
Oh
that.
yeah, and we narrowed them down.
Oh, I still have
And
one
Mike's
of those
was great.
pieces of paper, file 13 or whatever.
It was fitting, but nobody knew.
We only have like, we probably should get out of here in like 5 minutes to go eat.
Okay.
You guys hungry?
Yeah.
One more.
I'm gonna murder 10 steaks, Garrison.
Gonna up the bill. Get what you guys want because the podcast is paying for it all. Okay. So this is from Mike Costello, the unit.
Nice.
Do you guys know him very well?
No.
I forgot that's what his nickname was.
He doesn't want to be called that anymore, but he's a huge
Dude, I'm
huge-
sick of it, man. It just follows me everywhere. Yeah, that's what she said.
what band was he in before when we were
6 feet
6
under.
feet under? You guys remember him?
No.
No.
So
I
funny
only
because
know
he's
him
such a
from-
big part of our lives.
Dude, I only
'Cause
know
he was
him
in a
from
couple cover-
Mind's Eye.
Yeah, Mind's Eye.
He's a guitar player in Mind's Eye.
Yep, and now he's in Anthem, so he's still doing it.
Yeah, so he's playing with John Stunner. Remember Stunner from Avalanche?
Oh
You guys
yeah.
came to the show.
Yep.
That was our last Hook Echo thing. Was with Dude's old band or whatever.
Yeah.
Where he was the singer.
So am I wrong?
Joe Spanbauer's band?
No,
Oh,
the dude.
that was his birthday.
John.
wasn't
Yeah, it was his birthday
that's
party.
what- that's
Avalanche.
But Avalanche came out. Well, Stun is like he's the bass player guy in all those cover and tribute bands.
Yeah.
He's in like 5. Swear to God, 5 different bands.
Yeah, he's killing it. Okay, so he asks, how did you guys meet and what was the first song you ever wrote? Al?
Oh, 1984. Hamilton Elementary. I met Mike.
Turn up the radio
And
on a swing set.
That glass.
Mike was by himself, and I had come to Coon Rapids from Anoka. I didn't like Anoka, so I was happy to move there. And I'm like, I didn't have any friends, so
What's wrong with the
Mike seemed. I could tell you a number of things. Some of them I self-inflicted, so I had to get out of there. But no, when I came there was a new opportunity, and Mike was by himself, and I didn't want to be the only loner, so I was like, "Hey, man!" He had a boombox, and the boombox that I wanted, it had 2 speakers. It
Because I was
stereo.
a break dancer at the time.
It was that Panasonic with the detachable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You like listening to the radio?" Yeah, that's a nice line right there.
Yep.
Mike's kind of like, "Yeah."
That's right. That was the first question.
Yeah, and I'm like, "That's a pretty cool radio you got." I
Turn
feel
it
like
up.
Forrest Gump. That's a nice radio you got. And I'm like,
Mike, can you lay down on that
I'm like,
cardboard and do me a back spin?
don't you walk to school? Yeah, I saw you with like your sister, and you know, I live.
She's hot.
I live right over by you. We should all walk to school together.
2 blocks away.
You're like, yeah, that'd be cool.
My first memory of Mike is Mike's sister. wait, no. Was that out loud? Sorry.
And so I knew Mike for a long time, and obviously we started the music thing with the drum bucket, you know. And I'll fast forward a little bit to that time frame, and we actually met Matt Matson. And I have to thank Matt Matson.
Where's Matt Matson's tribute
I would have
video?
probably never met Christopher and Cory. So Matt Matson was
Matt.
I forgot.
Mike tracked him down. Here he is. Pull up his.
He had a large family. He had a lot of brothers and sisters, and a very nice mom and a Baptist. No, Baptist.
And he looked like
and they had a huge family. Everybody was named with a biblical name, so he was Matthew.
but he looked like Robert Plant.
Right. Oh, he looked like a metal dude.
He had the look.
He had the hair. We're talking like the Cliff Burton, James Hetfield look right away. The
And the
curly
jean
long
jacket,
hair,
yeah.
the jean jacket, and he was kind of a take no shit guy, you know.
He was like the guy in Breakfast Club.
Yeah, and I'm like, this guy's
Bender?
metal. And
Banner year at the Bender household.
he knew all these bands we like. Oh, I love Megadeth. Oh, I like Slayer. I like Metallica. I'm like, wow, this guy's into some cool music. We should get a band with him, Mike.
He even loved Crocus.
And so he's like, well, let's get a whole bunch of guys. I know these guys. I know this guy that plays drums. I know this guy that plays bass guitar.
Wait,
What
you
are
got to
their
go back a
names?
little bit. Let's go back to Corey Stokes and Jared and Phil Leclerc. Do you remember
Assault
all
and
those?
Battery.
Tell you how I ran into
Assault
Andy
and Batteries.
Mertz last
Andy Mertz?
year
Assault and Battery.
in line
And
at a
Steel
movie
Reach.
in Woodbury, and we're talking about bands, and he's like, "Were you in Sanctus?" And I was like,
He didn't know you?
"How do you?" No, he realized he did know me. I didn't know who the fuck he was. Jesus Christ! It's 30 years later. He goes, "I'm Andy Mertz," and I did a triple take, and I went,
I'm Andy.
"You are fucking Andy Mertz." He was talking about going backstage at like Tool and shit, and I was like,
He took me to my
Who
first
the fuck
concert.
is this
Kiss.
guy? He sounded like he was talking mad bullshit. I was gonna be like, dude,
Who's
you
this
did not
nut?
meet Tool. Who? And
He
went,
looks like
but
Maynard.
yeah, he looks like he's thin. He's got a shaved head. Well, Andy Mertz had that long, flowing black hair. I didn't recognize his bald pate. You know, just I'm like, holy. So then I'm like, dude, I'm telling Mike Garrison in 90 seconds from now that I just ran into Andy Mertz.
Well, there were others, Mike. I mean, Assault and Battery we had, yeah.
What about Justin
Corey Stokes,
Babcock, who
Jared
you
Carlson.
almost tricked into being in the band?
Yes.
Right.
You guys
But-
almost tricked me.
But we were
And
all
then he
guitar
dated my
players.
girlfriend.
So we had 4 guitar players.
That one infamous, as if it was, okay. But it was all of us in my basement
Brian
jamming,
Malik?
and everybody was playing different songs at one
Yes.
time. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's like everybody wanted to play guitar, and I'm like,
Dude, this is coming back.
We need a
Ryan
band.
Malik was in the mix too, wasn't he?
Malik was in the circle.
yeah.
And then
He was like
at
the
the end of the
Satriani
thing,
guy.
we kind of all looked at each other and was like, no, not him.
You could just
We're
tell.
feeling it this way.
You could tell what the nucleus was because Al and I jammed together so much that we were tight. And then when we brought Corey over, remember the
Oh
first
my
time we
God,
had Corey come over and we tried to send him to the wrong house?
Remember sitting on Matt Matson's bed and he's
Just bring up
singing-
your amp, go inside,
Just
and
go inside, don't knock, and sit up in the
I-
basement and start playing.
I apologize. I was such a
That no,
dick
sorry,
to
no.
Corey.
Hey, listen.
right off the get.
That is not the first time.
you know.
That's the first time I came to your neighborhood, but the first time I met you was in Matt Matson's basement. Okay, I didn't even ride his bus. Or maybe we did ride the same bus. I can't remember. But hey, get off my stop. Or we all jumped on the bus together and went to Matson's house. That's where I met Malik. Both of you guys. That's when he's in his basement. I'm sitting on his bed. I'm got my dad's like Harley jacket on, and he's singing peace.
Oh, God. Was that there? I thought that was in my basement.
It
that he
No, it
singing.
was in Matt Matson's basement. I vividly
I
remember
still have a
this.
recording of that.
Like standing there watching you guys being super intimidated. I had never even heard the word Megadeth. You guys threw a bunch of
You were
tabs
into
at me
Aerosmith.
and went, "Go learn these songs." I'm like,
How do we have
how
tabs?
do I play tab to a song I've never heard before? Just figure it out. You guys just figure it out.
You don't
Just
hear
play
bass
the
anyway.
tabs.
Just go play whatever you want.
Like then I finally actually started listening to this stuff, and then I bought the Ride the Lightning like guitar branded,
I don't
guitar
remember
magazine
that.
branded. Remember those books? It was like
Yeah. The bass
Kill 'Em All
version.
one.
Boost.
So Ride, like I went and bought all those, and actually got a tape and started like
Was the bass,
trying to play along. I went, oh, this is how Ride the Lightning goes? I've only seen the notes.
because you would
or
play
the
like the
numbers
guitar
on a tab
parts.
sheet.
Yeah. But I remember we have a recording of us jamming with Matt, and we had such high hopes. No offense, Matt, if you're watching. But we were like, he looks like Robert Plant. It's going to be amazing. And then I don't know, he was really struggling or whatever. It's the best way to put it. And then I remember Al would sing along with him. And I'm like, why don't we just have Al do it? He's singing perfectly to it. And then, I don't know, we just adopted you as the main singer.
That was a hard transition. I really didn't feel comfortable. I mean, I knew I was good at choir, but one of the things that I knew could help was Mr. Johnson was my choir teacher. And
I remember.
I sang Weird Al.
I vividly remember.
A lot of guys from high school give me
seriously
a bunch of crap about that.
I
sang
vividly
Weird Al
remember
like
you
a surgeon.
being like, hey, I took choir class.
What do you mean you sang Weird Al?
I sang Weird Al in choir class solo. And he kind of picked me out as one of the better singers. And I was like, oh, God, no, don't do this to me.
I remember because you're like, well, shit, I got to learn how to do this now, so I'm going to do it.
I didn't have any
real
albums.
way.
I had Weird Al, Nature Trail to Hell, and maybe a Miami Vice record. and I think Motley Crue, Shout at the Devil. Those were like the 3 albums I owned. And
you had Dr. Demento.
Well, and I'd have my dad's record, so I'd have like Cream, Clapton,
you know what else you
weird
had?
Stuff.
You had your brother's stuff.
Yeah. Well,
my
my brother
had a lot of cool stuff.
My brother loved Iron Maiden, and he had Metallica.
I remember the
since
song
the
you used
get-go.
to sing all the time, incessantly. You wouldn't stop.
Huh.
It was
Red Hot.
Abra, Abracadabra. I'm
Miller
like,
Band?
ow! Again with the abracadabra.
No,
like,
we went through our phases
you
for a
went
while.
through a phase like, dude, I went through my dad's old records. I'm like, no,
I think Al
don't
has,
do that because
Al
you're
has
gonna start
obsessive
singing.
stuff.
I do. I remember a time listening to Blackie Lawless and Wasp
Okay,
a whole lot.
before I forget,
The
do
Moody
you remember,
Blues.
Right.
do you remember when
Yeah.
you'd
That's
always
the
sing
one
Some Heads Are Gonna Roll?
Oh, yeah.
And lack of communication. Oh, yeah. I would come over and I was just like, lack of communication. It would just stick in my head. I hadn't even heard the song yet.
To this day, I'm in
Earworms.
the. I'm not kidding. Some heads are gonna roll.
That was-
I have so much Judas Priest on the playlist at my restaurant.
That's the one.
Thanks to Al, because I didn't know any of those songs, and he showed me like Hell Bent.
He had the deeper cuts because
To
Dino
this
had
day,
the tapes or whatever.
Turbo Lover was a
Turbo
good one.
Lover.
Yeah.
I went and bought like years later when I had a cassette player in my car. I got like one of these bargain bin things that was like British Steel or whatever, the one with Breaking the Law.
Yeah.
And I went, holy shit, like I get it now.
Yeah.
I know why Al is singing all these songs. Like this shit is intense. To this day,
Especially
I'll just
when you're
be in
that
my
young.
restaurant and I'll just be so I put it on the damn playlist and it comes on and I'm just I'm your turbo lover. And everybody's like,
No.
what's going like
Why is
they
this?
go,
Why is
"What's
the
going
chef
on?"
singing
How
back
about
there?
Painkiller? Headbangers
Yeah.
Ball was the best show Mike and I would watch in the days. And I tell you what, the Painkiller video, they're coming on. They're stuck in LA rush hour traffic.
Black and white.
Yeah. And a bunch of dudes headbanging in a car that just turn it up,
I remember it.
and rock out. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
It doesn't.
Listen to the bass drums, the double bass going.
To
and the
this day, it holds
guitars.
up.
That
Doesn't-
album,
no,
that
listen.
album changed my
DNA.
life.
It
yeah.
doesn't make like the hit list, but when I bought that tape, the B-sides on that album, there's a song called Grinder.
Yeah. I just
So-
listened to that album.
So after finding years later, we find out Rob Halford's gay, right?
What?
So we have this hindsight to all these old lyrics, and I got that tape. I listened to it over and over. I dissected like every single lyric, and at this song, Grinder hit me. And the chorus is Grinder looking for meat. And I was like, how did we not know? Listen to the lyrics of this dude's song. Everything has gay subtext to it. Every single song. It was like,
what about Rusty
oh,
Trombone?
I get it. I get it.
I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
exactly. I get it now. But you know what? I still love the guy because he's the gayest man in the world. He's also the most metal guy. Like to this day,
I saw them recently, actually.
my favorite thing is to listen to Rob Halford talk about metal. Like he has that Birmingham accent that's different.
And do you remember the first time we saw Holy Wars by Megadeth on Headbangers Ball with the
Remember most of
circular camera, and it like changed my life. So,
I more remember the the Hangar 18 video, which was like the
That
second
too.
video.
Yeah.
Because that's when it was like, oh, we're going to play Rock and Roll Unlimited. Dude, we're
We
going to do
saw-
Hangar 18.
We saw Holy Wars first, and my mom was living in my house for some reason. Tony was there, and I remember like watching TV and seeing Holy Wars for the first time.
I'm glad you bring this up. So glad.
The fact that we tried to play Hangar 18 when we were 15.
Well, not only that, not only that, but the release of that album coincides with this anniversary. Like, I follow
right.
these guys on
Right.
social media. So the Megadeth Instagram page says, on this day, September 24th, 1990, Rust in Peace is released. And I went, holy shit.
30
That
years,
is
right?
that is the exact moment. Like, that is the moment that we all met and came together. It was like the week that record came out. But it's just a time stamp for that particular time.
The Gulf War.
Obviously, because it was like,
first one.
I remember that.
it was also right. And it was also, Black Album hadn't come out yet. So that was the first record release that kind of affected us as like guys that could actually now go see these concerts. Like, that's when Tony took us out to Clash of the Titans and Alice in Chains opened on their very first tour. Anthrax and
album was
Megadeth. I remember it
great.
was like, that's the first big concert. But that was right when all this happened. And then the next summer it was Black Album, blah, 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 you know, but
I can't
I
believe
always
Rust in
see
Peace
the
came
Rust
out
in
before
Peace
that.
stuff.
Yeah, that's a good marker for us. Rust in
and that's
Peace.
right when I started, you guys forced me to listen to all, like, now you got to listen to this. Now
Yeah,
you
cool with
gotta-
this Aerosmith shit. Let's go to Megadeth. No, I love Aerosmith.
Megadeth, Rust in Peace was my very first compact disc. I got it for Christmas. in the
Everybody
long
remembers their
box.
first CD.
But what about Kiss, Mike?
That goes
Yeah.
way back. That's
know.
We could do
it's-
so many podcasts about our musical influences. They would save that for episode 2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was 2 hours, I think, almost.
Wow.
So hopefully Pro Tools is still recording.
I could easily do 2 more.
Well, we'll see. Let's go
Well-
get some food.
Okay.
Should I just
Thanks,
lay my
guys.
phone out on the table while we're...
I feel like Chris didn't
Eating
say
steaks.
anything this whole time. Do you guys feel that way?
Yes, Christopher.
We talked.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah.
I'm good.
Tell us your deepest, darkest secrets. Okay. Thanks, everyone.